Now, as you start building up scenes and start adding materials to those scenes, you're going to want a more efficient way to manage those materials besides just digging through the attribute editor. And this is why Maya has the Hypershade window, which allows you to see all the materials in the scene as well as how those materials are connected. So let's take a look at this fairly simple scene. We have a little red wagon here, and let's look at this in the Hypershade window. So under Rendering Editors, we have Hypershade. Open that up, and up pops this window. Now, this window has a lot of stuff on it, but a lot of it is duplicates. So, for example, the menus along the top are all duplicated by the graphical buttons here in the interface. So let's focus a little bit more on these. Now, probably the most prominent thing you see here is this Create tab on the left-hand side. Now, this allows you to create new materials. It also allows you to create textures, lights, and all sorts of other things. So this is really a master kind of create node menu. Now, we used a version of this when we created texture nodes, and we were able to select between things such as the checker pattern, the cloth pattern. This is where you can put in files as well. So all of this is available through other places in Maya, but this is where it's all centrally located. Now, probably more importantly is on the right-hand side, we see all the materials that we have in our scene. So if I open this up a little bit, you'll see that these are the materials that I've used to create this object. Now, this is part of a series of tabs. So in addition to materials, we can see the textures in our scene, and you can see that we only have one texture for the label on the wagon. Things such as utilities, lights, if there's any lights in the scene, and there's really a whole bunch more, and we can actually just scroll through these. Now, typically, we're going to just stick to materials and textures, and let's just do that for this lesson. Now, all the materials in the scene can be managed through this window. If I wanted to change a material, all I would have to do would be to click on it. And when I click on it, notice how it comes up in the attribute editor. So if I click on black metal, that material comes up. Rubber for the wheels comes up as well. And when those come up, I can just go ahead and edit them. Let me move this over here. So if I want, I can click on, for example, rubber, and I can change the color of the tires. I have this material here called black metal, which is used for the black metal surfaces, but if I want, I can make it a lighter color or a darker color again. And so this is a great way to actually jump between materials when you're working with a scene. I don't have to just click on this and then go over to the tab here in the attribute editor. I can just click directly on the material in the Hypershade window and get that. Now, in addition to this, you can see how things are connected together. If I click on this wagon material, which is the body of this wagon, you'll see that I have a texture in the color channel. And if I click on that, you can see it's the texture that has the text that says wagon. Now, if I want, I can actually view this in my Hypershade window. Now, all of these materials have a marking menu over them. So if I hover over this wagon material and I right-click, you can see I can do a number of different things. I can assign materials to selection. So if I wanted to assign this material to anything I have selected, I can do that. Or another one is Graph Network. So if I graph this network, what it does is it brings it up in this little tab here called the work area, and it shows me every node that is connected to that material. If I select the wagon node, which is my main shader, you can see I can select that. Or if I want to jump to the texture, I can jump there. Or if I want to jump to my texture placement, I can also do that. So as you start to build up your materials, you can actually see how they're connected together. So if I had additional channels, say for transparency or bump mapping or something like that, this would be a lot bigger. And I'd have more nodes connected into my main blend shader. Now, if I want, I can navigate this window just like I can the hypergraph window, and that's just by navigating it like a viewport. So if I hold down Alt and use my right mouse button, I can zoom in and out. Middle mouse button, I can pan. Now, like I said before, I can use this menu to apply materials as well. So let's say I wanted to change the handle color to something else. I can select the handle or multiple objects and then just hover over any of these materials, right-click above it and go Assign to Selection. And when I do, it assigns that material to that particular selection. So those are some of the basics of the Hypershade window. As you can see, it's got a lot of capabilities, and we'll be exploring these throughout the rest of the course.